Would you like to discover how to generate organic leads for your service-based business at minimal cost? Are you interested in learning basic social media tips and ideas tailored specifically for local business owners? Vincent Little, head coach of the Aramkick National Competition Team, has represented not only the Aramkick World Competition Team, but also Team USA on the global stage. He's also a licensed real estate agent in both Pennsylvania and New Jersey, proving that he's not just a one-trick pony. Today, he will share with you a step-by-step system on how to get involved in community outreach and produce quality organic leads, strategies to increase your local following on social media. Vince will share his insights, not just as a martial arts artist, but a business owner, but as a community builder. Get ready for an episode filled with actionable insights as we learn from Vince Little about creating a positive impact in the community. Thanks, Vince, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. It's pretty cool out of nowhere.
So you don't have to worry about those little lock boxes on the real estate. If necessary, you just kick the door in to show the house. Is that how it works?
Yeah, I usually give it a karate chop.
So, hopefully not. So cool. So yeah, tell me a little bit about. That's quite a blend. Why don't we start off with the Aramkick National Competition Team? Tell us a little bit about that. How you got involved.
Yeah, so I guess I started karate when I was 4 or 5, and I stuck with it. It was that one thing, team sports and all those other things that I would get involved with. I just didn't have much interest. My parents were always like, you would just play with the dandelions on the field in soccer. So it's like, finally, I don't know, I found my thing and I stuck with it, and I got into competition probably when I was 12 or 13, and I got good at it. I started winning. I started traveling all over the country, world. I've been to Italy, Ireland, Mexico, Canada, all over the country for Aramkick. And then, I think I was like 18 or 19. I decided to open my school, and that's when I kind of, I got into the whole business thing, but I still loved competition. So the national team was something, I was working with kids that were on the team as I kind of blended into my business role, but as the business built, I started getting some more free time, so I started coaching more, and now I'm back traveling again on the circuit, and now I'm kind of doing what my coaches did for me, which I think it's pretty fulfilling for me to have as a kind of like a side thing. So
tell me a little about why you think your parents chose karate as the sport when you were young. I know our kids were involved in martial arts a little bit. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the theory about why it's good to have kids do things like martial arts, the kind of skill sets you learn, the things that you learn by doing this type of activity that maybe you don't get from other types of sports?
Yeah, I think the main thing is, for me especially, I was a shy kid. I was an only child until I was 5. Like, I didn't really, growing up, and before I moved, it was just me. And I wasn't really, I was a nice kid, I hope, but I wasn't a super social kid. So right. I think them putting me in it was just to kind of like, all right, like first get me around a group of people, make friends, but also just build confidence and learn to kind of just put myself out there more, which I think, even right now, that's a big reason why parents enroll their kids in martial arts, just to build confidence, get them out of their shell. There's so many other benefits. It's such a, when I tell parents before they enroll, reasons to get in, it's such a, what I like to say is a big foundational activity. It helps all other sports. So even if you were to be, a soccer player, basketball, softball, any other sport, it's such a good sport you can have as your center, and you can stack on it because it works on so many other things, like the discipline, keeps you in good shape. You learn to be a good listener to your coaches, to your peers, to your parents. So like, that can connect to any other sport, No,
I think it's great. I know it helped our kids a lot when they were younger. Really, it helped. I think the discipline, the focus, the routine, the organization. You got to do it right. It's like, you know what I mean? If you don't do it right, you're going to know.
100%.
You're going to know right away. So, no, I just think it's great because it does a lot of beneficial things to it. So we got to 18, 19. Obviously, you were good, it sounds like, since you were traveling the world, which is awesome. Then you decided to open up your own shop. Now, that's probably a little different having your own shop than it was maybe being a competitor. So what were some of the things you saw happen? Like, first of all, what was kind of your inspiration to say, I'm going to go do this? And then once you did it, kind of what did you find once you started your business?
So, I just graduated high school, and I I think I was in my first year at Temple, and I was studying business, and it was just funny because, like, you know, I was a full-time student, but all I wanted to do was teach and train and compete. So, like, it was, you know, of course, school first for everybody listening, but, like, for me, I couldn't wire myself like that for some reason. Mm-hmm. So I was about a little over a year in, and I ended up going from Temple to community college to, like, take a step back, be more local. And then I was a semester into that, and I remember my coach, we were at the gym training, and it was actually it was funny. He got a phone call, he walked away, and he walks back over, and I was like, what was that? He was like, oh, it's just, you know, franchise leading. And then he kind of jokingly was like, do you want to school? And I'm like, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I called my dad. My dad's my business partner. And yeah, I was just like, would you want to do this with me? And he's like, I don't know, I think it was like an hour or two. And then he called me back. He's like, let's go. And that's kind of how it started.
Well, that's awesome. Well, it's always good to be in business with your passion, so to speak. It makes things a lot easier because every day you get more. I mean, you really have a calling, it sounds like. So when you have that calling, now this is the vehicle to fulfill that calling is what it sounds like to me.
It's funny because, like, I mean, I really didn't. I mean, I have the real estate thing now, but, like,
right.
Other than that, growing up, I didn't have any other job. I started helping with karate class when I was like 10. You know, I was there so much helping. They were like, I guess I should probably start paying this kid now once I got of age. And
right.
And then that was the only job I had until I opened my school. And then the real estate thing came later, but it was just like, that's the only job I've ever had. So.
Okay. So once you open up, so you and your dad are partners together, you decide you're going to open up the franchise. So what was your experience with the actually opening of the franchise? Because there's some steps involved, right? Because you said you're a franchisee. So there's a little bit of a dating process that probably goes on as far as hey, I'm interested, but they don't say, oh, sure, come on, here's your school. So what kind of happened as far as that part of it went?
Well, the thing is, America's like a family. You know, I've been part of the family, quote unquote, for my whole life. Okay. So, you know, being good friends with, you know, people that were in the corporate level.
So they already knew you well.
Oh, they were like, I mean, the CFO, I'm his son's godfather. So, like, it's just, you know, I'm just so close with them already. It wasn't really a dating process. It was more of like, he's ready, let's do it.
Okay.
But again, you know, if it were to be some random person that knew karate off the street you didn't know, there would definitely be, you know, a little bit of that going on. So.
So you already well known within the organization. So then they said, okay, that's great. We already know you. We already know about you. So I'm sure they had to go at least through the financial side of it once that was all set. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So once they set all that up, now you have to open a school somewhere, I'm assuming, right?
Yep.
You're not working out of the trunk of your car, I'm hoping,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So did they help you with that process as far as where's a good location, or how did that whole work?
Yeah, they have like a realtor team, and they kind of scouted and had a spot in mind. So yeah, we went to go see. There was like a few options. Me and my dad looked at, and we ended up picking one. It moved quick. It just like, I don't know. It just ended up. It was just funny because I never said I wanted to own a school.
Right.
And it was very like until that day where I was like, let's do it.
Right.
And then from then, I mean, I remember it was the day before Thanksgiving that happened, and I opened March 1st. So like 4 months, and like the next month we looked at locations. So like December.
Okay.
And then we started building it out in January. So it moved really quick. It was almost like it was just meant to happen, you know?
Right.
So.
Well, that's one of the nice things about franchises is like they know exactly what to get, who to get it from, and how to set. I mean, they know they have the process nailed down. So they went ahead and helped you with all that. Now you're open in March. So what was your experience with the actual opening? So now we have to get people in the door. I'm assuming you want to get some revenue, right?
Yes.
You guys are all about, okay, we're spending money now, revenue time. So what did you do prior to the grand opening? How did you kind of prep up so you can have people in the door, hopefully, right? As soon as possible.
So,
how did that work?
So, I mean, that was the thing. And I think that's what really helped me learn down the road and just kind of know what I know now. I was a 19-year-old that was good at karate, not a 19-year-old that knew how to open a business.
Okay.
So the first few months, I mean, I didn't really do it. I just kept teaching, and I just kind of, like, I did going like, because I want to do more locations going forward. Hopefully at a second one by the end of, at some point next year.
Okay.
But I didn't know anything.
Okay. Well, fair enough. That's not unusual.
Yeah. We opened March 1st. I mean, it took to finally start moving about a year.
Okay.
Because I needed to learn how to operate a business and how to like just do everything that comes with that.
So what were some of the lessons that you might want to, the takeaways that maybe you can a new entrepreneur getting into something similar, what kind of advice would you give them if they're getting ready to open up a location like you did? What looking back at yourself, what advice would you give your March 1st self that you know now?
Start marketing and building everything months in advance.
Okay.
I mean, as soon as possible. Like, for this next one, I want to start pre-sales 3 months before we open. I want to have the marketing, like the social media and everything going more than 3 months before. Like as soon as I know where we're going to have it land,
Right.
just have everything built out. And it doesn't matter if the location is built out or not. You can still build your social media out. You don't have to just take pictures of the school. Like you can do whatever you want to build out the social media.
Right.
Which I think that was why I didn't really do anything in the beginning, because
Okay.
I'm like, it's not even built out yet. Why am I, how am I going to promote this thing? But that was big. I would just say that's kind of the main thing. Just start early. If your date is March 1st, you should be prepping in the fall. Just have a plan.
Just like a blockbuster movie. Advertise ahead of time before grand
Yes.
opening. All right, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Master Your Finances. Welcome back. You're listening to Master Your Finance here with Vincent Little, and we're talking about like your opening of your business and the things that you learned about it, right? So now that you got it up and running, the thing is start marketing at least 3 to 6 months prior to opening up a location. That way you've kind of got the flow going, and maybe on day one, you've got a pretty good crowd coming in the door, which is awesome. So once you got it going, you said it took about a year to get it fully up and running. Now that you got it up and running, what are some things that you've learned as far as the process of, this is complicated. Some people think this is like easy, but there's a lot involved here, right?
Yeah,
People think, you go out and you just have fun on the mat, right? Mm-hmm. Well, more to it. Do you want to tell us a little bit of the back end about because you have to get people in the door, you want to get them to keep coming, obviously, mm-hmm. and things like that. So what are some of the ways that you keep the kids engaged, the families engaged? And first you got to get them in. What's that all about? And then how do you keep them going so they get excited about maybe being an international person running around to Italy or something and competing and stuff like that. So what are some ways that you get them involved and get them really...
Yeah. One of the things that I realized when I first opened too, which was like a big was like no one really cared what I did. They just cared about like what it's going to do for their kid, right?
Right.
So that was the biggest shock. Like, most of my students don't really know what I've done, We really try to focus on, what the sport, what it does for the kids, and one of the biggest things that keeps the kids is we bolt on the character development program with the classes. So it's not just them attending class then leaving. Like right now we're doing a 6-week, we're calling it back to school boot camp, where the kids have a weekly challenge they're taking home and their parents are signing off on. And it's basically just different things they're working on at home, like healthy habits,
Right.
making your bed, before you leave for school, or like having your homework assignments ready to go for that day, using your manners around the house, just things like that. So then that's a little checklist that the parents have to sign off on, and they bring it in. Yeah, they bring it into class, and then the kid gets an achievement sticker. So that's really great because, sometimes you get parents that maybe they're so busy and they don't sit and watch the class. Maybe they just drop them off and leave. So now they have this tangible thing that they're looking at and they're, doing with their child, and it's helping improve them off the mat. So I think that's really good. We kind of implemented that like a year and a half in.
Okay.
And that really, our retention went up a ton just because, we're already teaching these lessons on the mat, but for the parents to take what we're giving them off the mat and then apply, it really kind of like cements this works. This is more than just kicks and punches. So.
Right. Yeah, it's awesome. Well, you just mentioned something that essentially in the story, you want to be their guide and that you want them to be the hero. So you're kind of like the coach and they're the player. And a lot of times, and a lot of us that are involved in businesses realize that at some point that it's all about the customer and the client experience. Again, they don't really care about you. They want to know, well, how are you going to be my Yoda? How are you going to guide me and give me the information I need to be successful? And sometimes we get a little stuck on ourselves a lot of ways. Sometimes we do it like it's about, especially you've been very accomplished. Like, well, I did all this great stuff and you can do it too. They're like, well, that's nice, but I don't understand that. I've never been to Italy and I've never competed. So to them, that's like this far-fetched ideal that other people do. But when you start making it about them, and here's the way you can advance and be better yourself along the way. And they kind of know in the background this stuff. They go, oh, this guy, if he was at my level one day, at one point in his life. That means maybe I could be at that level that he went to. So we got to kind of reel it back the clock to when I was 4 or 5 years old. What was I going through the first time I went into one of these, when I went to class, and I'm like, I'm a little nervous about this. I don't really have a lot of friends. And you can kind of really connect with them and then say, hey, this is where I was, just same place you are, right? If you work on this stuff, one day, you can keep going and be great, right?
Yep. And one of the things that our industry says, or, the higher level guys who at least, are building their schools, is we're in the business of pay, stay, and refer. So, we get them to sign up, they stay, and they refer their friends. So, the pay, stay part comes with all the things I just talked about. And then the refer part, at least what I've, thought is like, making it not only about them, but about the community, right? Everyone loves the community. Everybody loves building something that they're a part of, right? So, that's kind of like, again, bringing people in. We don't just get, involved inside our school, but we try to go outside to local schools, different daycares, different programs that kind of complement ours, and then that's a really great way we can just get a lot of organic lead gen.
So what are some of the things you do? That's fantastic. What are some of the things you guys do when you go out to the community? What types of activities are you doing? I mean, if you go to a school or any of these other places, so how do you work with them to kind of promote a good community?
So usually, we do things that they can understand, right? So one, fitness, right?
Right.
Very easy for people to understand, kids, getting movement in, staying fit, right? Especially after, 2020, where coming back to things, they were stuck for a while. So getting kids moving again, getting them active, right? The other thing is anti-bullying, right? We never really say martial arts or karate because sometimes it has like a bad connotation of like, we're teaching your kid how to fight. But it's not.
Well, you're also teaching them how to defend themselves.
Yes. You see, that's some people think that, right? But it's just when we go about the angle of anti-bullying and fitness to start, it really helps with kind of getting into schools that might be a little reluctant to get like some but some small business to jump into their school and give them their time. So like that's usually how we get in. But I would say anti-bullying, fitness classes. We do a lot of donations nowadays. We'll donate like a free month or two, gift certificates to different schools. If they ever need a monetary donation or anything like that, we're more than happy to do that too. Especially been working with the school for a while. We've done like donations of books and things like that. Just anything to support.
No, that's awesome. I know one of the local gyms does something where they'll like pick a charity and then they do like an event. It's kind of a mini fundraiser, and then they all have like a big party at the end, and the charity comes in. And I know our charity's benefited from a few of these, and then they come in, and it's like this. It's a community thing because you bring in not just your community, but then you bring in the community of the nonprofit. They come in, and you're doing a little bit of fundraising, and like I don't know, you take a class, and for every whatever class you can. I don't even know what in your business, like some certain activity you'd pay.
Usually it's like a class.
You pay an extra $10 or something, whatever it is, and then over time you raise whatever, couple hundred, couple $1,000, whatever it is. And then you have an event, and the charity comes and says, "Oh, this is great," and then you learn about each other, which I always thought was kind of cool because you're like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of those people," but then you hang out with because usually it comes from somebody who is involved in both. Right. So they know both entities. Now you kind of get them all together, which I think benefits everyone. So yeah, that's fantastic. So once you go out in the community, so what else? What are you guys doing? So are there different levels there? I assume. Right, it's karate, right? I don't know much about karate. I just remember. I don't know if there's you tell me like what the phases are. So I come into karate. What about adults? You get adults involved too, or just mainly children in this case?
So I used to run like a fitness program, adults and fitness and stuff like that. I'm not really, I don't know. I think over the years, I've kind of like molded this into what I wanted to do, and I definitely work with some older kids, but usually the age range is like 4 to 12. That's where I really kind of focus. And then, not to say they turn 13, they're out. But
right.
But we do have a lot of kids that are like now in that 13 plus group that are black belts now. So they're in their own black belt class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you do competitions then as well? Do they go out and do competitions? So how does that work?
It's actually pretty cool. My school, I mean, I guess like again, it's becoming more me now in the past few years. So I have a lot of kids. I have a bunch of kids that I actually have like 4 or 5 that are part of my school that are on the national team that travel with me to the tournaments.
Right.
They're instructors at my school, and then I have some younger kids that are on the national team too. We have a regional competition team too that I coach here and there, but a lot of my kids go. Actually, at the tournament last weekend, we had a big, America has a big international tournament every year. I mean, like I was saying, it's like people from Hungary, Italy, Guatemala, everywhere. It was a massive event. We actually, our school, our location had the most registered competitors out of the whole tournament. So we got the top supporting school award for that. So we had like 50 something kids.
Yeah, 50 something kids. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was good. So we're pretty, we've turned into a competition school.
Well, that's great. I mean, well, this is good because now you're getting the kids exposed to people from all over the world. So did any of your kids get to communicate with the people from Hungary and all these other different countries? So what kind of experiences they have as far as like really learning about people from all parts of the globe? Any stories about that? Some things that happened?
There's a few because it's pretty cool. I have from when I was competing, guys that still compete that are still on the team. So.
Right.
Like I was at the airport the day before the tournament picking up one of my old teammates from Guatemala. So picked him up, he came down and he's taught seminars at my school before just because I'm like, hey, come a day early. I'll pay you to teach a big seminar.
Right.
So it's cool seeing like he was at his ring and he won his division. It was like this massive it was like 40 people in this fighting division. It was crazy. And
Wow.
he won the whole thing. And you see like 10 of my students run over and being like, oh, great job, sensei. And he's like, oh yeah, thanks guys. Like he knows like exactly who the kids are. And it's like, so it's cool. It's, and there's a bunch of stories like that. Just, a lot of my kids are exposed to that because I try to bring in, not just me teaching or my team, but like people from all over to give them perspectives of, the art, the style, and just life in general,
I mean, do you see anything different from different countries? I know it's the same sport, but do you see any like different flavors if they're coming from a different part of the globe?
Yes. It's like, for example, the one kid who I brought in from Guatemala, Enrique, he's a very good kicker with his front leg.
Right.
Where you can see there's certain like Hungary, they were more of like hands punching. So like you can kind of tell and the way they move and their style, you can kind of tell like where they learned and such.
Yeah, it's almost like a different vernacular, almost with the same basic language, but maybe a different vernacular of the same language.
Yep.
Wow, that's great. So any other competitions coming up, or what else do they get to do?
So I'm actually trying to do a lot of like, I mean, I'm going to Minnesota in October for one. So that's, I do the tour, so I do a bunch of ones around there. But there's actually a bunch of local ones that I'm trying to get my school specifically into. So there's one in New York, in the Bronx, I think, next month. And then there's one in Newtown that's like a little bit bigger. That's in November. So like I'm trying to kind of like scout the ones in between.
Right.
So like some of my kids that are just getting into it can start kind of like experiencing
So the
it.
different levels, so depending on their level, there's different competitions based on their level.
Yeah.
Well, that's just awesome. We're going to take another quick break. You're listening to Master Your Finances. Welcome back. You're listening to Master Your Finances. I'm here with Vincent Little, and we've been talking about your business, and just awesome. You got your kids involved in the competition. You had 50 kids go to the latest competition, international, people from all over the world. They got to really learn a lot, not just from a technical perspective, and they did well at the competition. They're also getting to meet other kids with similar interests from all over the globe, which I think is really awesome, especially for younger kids. We all should learn from people of other backgrounds and so forth. There's no better way to learn than to meet somebody that's got a totally different background. So now that you learned some things when you built the business up. So you want to talk a little bit about how you currently market your business. It's really important to market up front and to get it going and things like that. So it sounds like you've had a little bit of a learning curve, but now you're going. It sounds like you really got a strong following. So what have you learned as far as the marketing, bringing them in, retaining them, and things like that?
So marketing wise, especially when I first started, now this is stuff I learned and then I kind of added into the things I have now because, when I first started, I didn't have a massive amount of capital. I was just this small business.
That's a typical small business owner.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I had to I had to figure it out.
Right.
So it came with a lot of organic lead gen. So some of the things that I did, especially when I first started, like I said, I would try to get involved with as many schools as possible. One of the things that I did that was pretty cool, and you can do this with any program service-wise, is go to your local, let's just say daycare or some type of, little gym or something like that, and you can offer an enrichment program to whatever they're offering. I did that with a lot of different daycares in my area. And again, the best way to do it, don't shoot them a text or shoot them an email, show up,
Right.
Actually go up there in person, which, it can be a little like, scary, I guess, for some people, but
Sure.
that's how you get good. Right. So I did that a lot in the beginning. I went to as many daycares as I could in Lawrenceville and just was basically like, we can offer this once a week or twice a week to your students, whatever time, and at first I did it like I just kind of gave it to them for the first few weeks. And then once they got into it, I turned it into like a monthly thing. So it became kind of like a side revenue generator for the business. And then people that finished the program ended up, one, like looking and trying to enroll at my school, or they would at least refer their friends and such. So it was a good way to kind of just, one, get some side cash coming in, and two, just get some like leads and some qualified leads in there too, because they already had a few weeks of training with me, and then they would come to the school and they would have now the facility. So it would be even better.
So that's great. So you come in and say, hey, look, we've got this great new program. We're just opening up, and as a way to spread the word, we're going to offer you, 4 or 5 free classes, and let us know what you think. If you're interested, then maybe we can continue this on an ongoing basis, right?
Yes.
Something along those lines. That way there's no risk, there's no, other than the fact, are you really in business?
Yep.
So, right?
Yep.
But I'm sure that once you said, hey, just let us try it out, because these places are always looking for new ways to entertain the kids, right? They want the kids to have activities to do. And when you come in with kind of a new idea, most of the time they're going to probably say, yeah, as long as it doesn't cost them anything.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then if they see there's value, then they might not. Then they may be willing to pay, because the kids are now going home to their parents and saying, "Hey, mommy, daddy, I had this guy came in and we learned how to do this stuff, right? And I'm kicking 2x4s in half now, or whatever, whatever they're doing." So, like, wait, what are you learning? So,
yeah, right.
It's like, wait a minute. But what I'm saying is, the kids will take the message home, and then the parents who are actually writing the checks, if they're interested, then they're going to say, "Hey, I thought that was a great program. Our kids came home and loved it."
Yeah.
Now the place is likely to say, okay, I can increase my satisfaction, and I can incorporate that into my price, or add additional people to my location, because it's a better experience.
Yeah, and then you kind of form like a partnership with that business, which is pretty cool. That was another way I kind of grew my following. Just whether it was a daycare, or even, I had a few parents that, own restaurants that are like, part of my student body. So I'd form like a partnership. Basically, I would go to their restaurant, and we could do like a video together saying like, hey, we just recently partnered with so-and-so, and if you show that you are an America Princeton member, then you get a 10% discount on your whatever meal, and then for them, they have like something where if they come, maybe they show a receipt from them going there, they'll get a discount on a trial special. So that way and that's just something that, we just keep there. Like, it's not like for a limited time, it's just like a perk of being a member of either, so that way it grows both people's following, and kind of like, I guess, like intersects like the two audiences,
No, you that's brilliant, because in business they talk a lot about how creating as many partnerships as you can, because the more you increase partnerships, now you're taking your circle of influence and blending it with their circle of influence, and now you essentially likely doubled or tripled between the two of you how many people actually know about both. So it actually benefits both businesses, because they're kind of endorsing you and you're endorsing them, and people are much more likely to use it and say, well, that means you've obviously been to this restaurant, or that means, oh, you obviously had somebody go to this location and had a good experience. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing this, right?
Yep.
So, no, I think that's great. Yeah, partnerships are fantastic in business when you can do them.
And then when I'm signing up kids, part of it, it's like when I had that many partnerships, it's like I add that to my sales sheet. It's like, all right, and becoming a member, you get a discount here, you have a deal here, and they're just from being a member at the school. So it's just that extra thing there that kind of builds value in the program, being part of the program. So
okay, so are you using social media now? You said you weren't initially. So how do you do that now?
I use it a lot. I'm really into it.
All right, you're into it now. Okay, so tell us a little bit about that, because you did organic originally, and now you're doing the partnership. So tell us how all this kind of fits together now.
So I mean, one, I'll take any of the business owners that I'm collabing with, and I'll tag them, and we'll make videos together and stuff like that. So that's one thing. The other thing I've kind of come to do too is, especially when I first opened, was look for as many local groups as possible on social media and join them, whether it's Lawrenceville this, Princeton this, whatever. For me, it was really good to join like the parent groups, because joining those, I could put out like, Now I wouldn't put it out salesy. I would just share content, from classes or a back to school tip or something like that to kind of get people looking. And then maybe here and there I drop like an ad, but,
Right.
and then I would just stay, I would turn on the post notifications of all the groups. And then, I knew like back to school season or New Year's, the hot times for where parents are looking to add kids into new sports, I would just be the first one on it. Like I remember the first year, especially, like if somebody was like, oh, little Johnny is looking for a new sport, I would be the first one commenting, and I'd be like, hey, just DM'd you, like here's my page. And then,
Right.
yeah. So it was like a lot of stuff like that to kind of, and that was a little bit more just like in a way organic, because I was like reaching out, it wasn't just me just posting and waiting for somebody to like it. It was like me going out of my way to get it. So that was one of the things I did. And then two, with social media, just like I learned it has to be consistent. It has to be consistent. If you're on a hot streak for a week and then you stop posting for a day or two, you're not gonna have a consistent audience. That was the biggest thing. And also just when you're posting, people want to look at interesting things, right? So if you're always posting like a kid doing a kick or something like that, like people aren't going to, oh, here's another kick. Like,
Right.
yeah, having like I was saying, like back to school tips, like healthy tips. Maybe it's, breast cancer awareness month. You post something for that, just kind of staying in with the themes and such,
Right.
that's, yeah, staying relevant, while you're posting, not just posting the same category every single time.
Right, and it sounds like you did all this, but I mean, you're coming in kind of as like just an expert answering questions, and if they like your answers to the questions, they're like, hey, who is this guy? He seems to know what he's talking about when it comes to sports, and then what is he? Because people research you. I mean, that's what's the first thing you do when you see somebody new on social media? You're kind of curious. You go, this person seems to know what they're talking about. You just hit their name and you go, oh, well, that's what this guy does, and then they learn about you kind of indirectly. And we hear a lot about that where it's really bad to go on and join these groups and say, hey, I'm here, buy all this stuff from me.
Yep.
Because nobody wants to see that. These parent groups are more, if you watch these parent groups, I know my wife is involved in them, it's like they refer each other. All of a sudden somebody will say,
Yep.
anybody know a great dentist? I have like blah, blah, blah going on. So, oh, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did that. And if you've already been in that ecosphere, so to speak, Oh, and by the way, Vincent's on. He does that kind of thing, right? And somebody will actually, because they see you all the time.
Yeah.
And then you can say, "Oh, sure, I'm happy to help."
It was
right.
fun.
That kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
You're basically being endorsed by somebody else, and then you come in and say, "Sure, yeah, I'll help."
Yeah, it was funny. I remember I was fighting for it in the beginning, but now it's at the point where it was like I saw the post and I didn't comment on it yet, but then I look and I saw like 3 or 4 of my parents are backing me up.
There you go.
And they're like not arguing, but like there was another karate school they dropped there, and they're like, nah, do ours. And like it was like, and I didn't even say anything. I'm just like watching the thread blow up between like American Princeton and Everest.
That means you have a raving fan. That's awesome.
Yes, yeah. So it's cool though, but it didn't start like that. But now after doing it and staying consistent, it almost does it itself now. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, because that's hard for new business owners to understand. They think you need to go out and just start telling everybody about what you want. People don't want to know what you want until they know you actually care about them and you are providing value to them. And then they're like, okay, well, if you do a good job like helping me out with no anticipation of repayment, what do you actually do when it's a real business involved and I'm actually paying you? Then people know that somebody that goes out there and helps regardless is going to do well if you come in and are actually paying them for the service.
Yeah, there's this one quote I heard, a while back. It was like, give until they feel dumb not giving you back. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Just keep giving until it's just like absurd. That
That's a law of reciprocity.
Yes.
If I give you something, you feel obligated to give me back, whether you realize it or not. And that's just the way we're built. That's we're human beings. So the more you give, ultimately, people will give you in return just because they want to, right? They feel like they need to and want to. We're going to take another quick break. You're listening to Master Your Finances. Welcome back. You're listening to Vincent Little here at Master Your Finances. And I think the whole social media thing is awesome the way you're doing it, because you're doing it the right way. I guess you're a young guy, younger than I am. Us old guys don't necessarily know this intuitively, but it really works a lot of this, very much the same way traditional networking works, right? You don't walk into a room like dating, right? You don't walk in and say, hey, how many kids you want to have? It's a little bit of a, let's get to know each other first, and let me find out like what you like to eat for dessert before we start talking about how many kids we're going to have.
Yep.
Right. So you gotta go in and kind of add value. So people think about it more like just offline relationships. You get to know people, you get to know what they're about, what they care about, what they're really passionate about. And your business should be connected to a passion you have. At some point, that's going to come up in the conversation. As you pointed out, it took a while. It feels like a long time. But once people know who you are, they're going to go out and talk about you as soon as the opportunity arises because they care. They know you care, and they're very happy to refer because they know they're going to make a good connection, right? Because they look good. They're kind of the hero. They're given a nice connection between the two. The person needs a service and the person that provides it, they're happy, everybody's happy, right? Kind of like a matchmaker, like, oh, I know this person, we like this person, that kind of deal.
Let me connect to you guys. Yep.
Exactly. So you mentioned earlier on that you do other things like community events and fundraise. You want to talk a little about how you set those up and how those work? Yeah.
So one of the biggest things that we've gotten into the past 2-3 years is PTO and school fundraising. And it's really great for, the PTO and school, and also great for us because we get a good amount of students from it. So it was probably about 2-3 years ago when I started it. But basically what I'll do is I'll reach out to I have the contacts of all the schools now, but let's just say, you're even farther back and you don't have any of those. You can always visit them in person. But another thing I did was I reached out to my current student base, and I was just kind of like, who's a teacher or who's involved in the local PTO. We want to give you guys something awesome. Just message us. So that's kind of how I started building the list. And now that I have the list, I reach out every year to the schools, and basically I offer them a 3-hour parent night out, fun night for their kids for the school. So for example, like whatever elementary school, I'll offer it out to them. They charge whatever entry fee they want, and they cap it. Usually I can handle about 40, 50 kids with the right staffing. And they'll charge the entry fee, and basically they'll keep all the money, and we'll run the event for them. So it's like basically, if they can get 40, 50 kids in, they can make, if it's like $20, they can make like $1,000 in a night. That's great. From doing literally. Our staff runs it. Like all they have to do is just say hi to them as they come in and sign off some waivers. And so it's great. The PTO will make, that much in an hour from doing nothing. I get 40, 50 kids in my school. Sometimes if we have the right, funds and stuff like that, we'll give them a bell graduation at the end. Every kid will get like a white belt and a diploma and such. And then, so that's like really great. The parents see that at the end of the fun night.
Okay.
And, and then we kind of give them an offer if they want to sign up on a trial special that day. We'll give them, the chance to do that at the end. But it's great because the parents will go out. Like sometimes the school will work a deal out with like a local restaurant, and, that restaurant's flooded from the parents. Our school's full, and the PTO or school makes a ton of money. So
it's good. So the restaurant participates too, like they'll donate back a percentage of the proceeds.
Yeah. So we've done that before. Or, if it's such a big group, it'll just be, like go wherever you want for 3 hours. We got the kids. But and then we do that with not just PTO, but we do that as like an add-on to our membership for being a student at the school. We do a monthly parent night out event. We have to cap it because, we have about 300 students. So like 50 is the cap, just because, if we had 300 kids in the school at once, I think my staff would explode.
Okay. But, got it. That's a lot.
Yeah. But, we cap it at 50, and every month just for our students, we have a parent night out event that's themed. Like we've done Forest Lava, we've done Legoland, we've done Disney.
So when you say parent night out, I drop my kids off at the school, they get to go off and have their date night.
Yes.
Cool.
You can do whatever you want for 3 hours.
Awesome.
We handle them. And then we also do pizza for the kids halfway through. That's just for our members and such. Sometimes the fundraisers, they'll add pizza onto that too. So there'll be like pizza for the kids.
Okay.
Or whatever dinner they want. And then, the parents, whoever drops them off, they can go do whatever they want for a few hours. So it's good.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. So when you do these, and I know that's a great way to let people try a service before they actually buy it, so to speak. So what do you usually see, like if you have 50 kids coming, what kind of percentage typically says, yeah, I'm interested, let's try something?
I've done over 50% sign up.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was
that's
a good
an amazing
night.
number.
Yeah, I
Those
remember.
Those are no marketing. That's a high number.
Oh yeah. That's what it was funny though, because I wasn't even there. I coordinated and all, and then I had to leave. And then my staff called me. He was like, "We got 30 of them." I'm like, 30?
Maybe you shouldn't go anymore.
Yeah, I was like, "You guys even need me anymore?"
That's right. Well, that means you trained them well.
Yeah.
That means you trained them well. Okay, cool. So what other community events do? What other kind of stuff do you guys do out there?
So for us, I mean, I just really like the community events. I like it's fun. We do the trunk or treat every year, and we do the Easter egg hunt every year. Those are our two big ones. And the trunk or treat just keeps getting bigger every year. One of the things we do with that is we have our parents actually participate as the trunks now.
Okay.
We have those higher level competition students. So those are usually the diehard parents, and they like participating and being involved. So we'll get like 15, 20 of them, and they decorate their trunks, and we'll do like a whole, last year we did a haunted house. We turned the inside. Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
So, it was a busy day, but it was fun. It was worth it.
Yeah.
We had a haunted house that we turned the school into the haunted house that they walked through. And as they walked through it, in the back was all the cars, all the trunks for the trunk or treat.
Okay.
And we had like time slots they signed up for. We had about like 600 kids go through. It was nuts. Yeah.
Oh, so this is open to the whole community.
Oh yeah,
then.
no, it was a community event.
That's awesome.
So we had. I mean, it was funny though because we put it out. We blasted it out, and then it grew so quickly that like an apartment complex that like I guess I don't know how we fought, but like they were like sharing it. Like they were like, come to the. It was just it.
You went viral. It sounds like.
Yeah, Lawrenceville viral. It was cool. We had so many people for that. We do the Easter egg hunt every year. My grandma she passed away like a decade ago, but back when I was young, she would hold like an Easter egg hunt for the community, like my neighborhood street. And it was like this big thing she did every year. So that's kind of where we got the idea for it because we wanted to kind of do that type of tradition. But we get about 10,000 and we do pre-filled eggs. So I don't sit there. When I was a kid, I had to fill them, which was...
It sounds like something my wife used to. She used to cover our backyard. It might have been 10,000. It was a crazy number. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was...
But yeah.
So we...
it's amazing.
Yeah, we this year we did it in time slots, which was good. And then we had an Easter Bunny photo op thing in the side too. But they're all free events that we're doing.
Right.
So these are all free. We had 3 time slots. Kids spread around and ran and got all the eggs. So that was one of them.
Right.
The trunk or treat, we had the haunted house and the walkthrough, which was really cool. We did a costume contest at some point during it, which was cool. And then what we do too is like we'll even have different community partners come in, and like I know there was a deli that came in and like sold food off to the side just because they wanted to be. I needed to get some type of food at the event, and I wanted it to be it was a karate family that went to my school, so I wanted to help them out a little bit. So I gave them that opportunity. I've had a bunch of. We're right next to Jerry's Artorama, which is art store. They put out all their stuff. Like they do a sale that day next to the school, and they usually get good business. I think they helped with the pumpkin painting last year, so they had to paint for that. So like,
oh really?
Yeah, so it's cool. We kind of get the whole community involved in it because the events both of them are pretty massive, and it's free. It's for the kids, and why wouldn't you do it for the kids, right? So.
Absolutely. Wow. So what do you got coming up now? We're getting back into that season again, right?
Yeah.
It's back to school, right? You got a back to school thing going on, right?
We got back to school. So we're doing the boot camp. We have the trunk or treat coming up, which is, it's end of October, but it's really, 2 months away. So that's coming up. We do every year we'll do a breast cancer awareness donation. So basically the kids buy pink belts. So they get to wear them for the month of October, and we donate all the proceeds to breast cancer awareness. I think a year or 2 ago, we actually pulled together with another 2 American franchises and directly donated to one of their karate parents who had breast cancer, which was really cool. So we got to like directly impact. So we have that coming up for October. We do a massive food drive for for Thanksgiving. Actually, one year we did I think we donated 1,000 pounds of food, which was crazy.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that is.
Yeah, so we did that in November. We do that every year though, and then we do Toys for Tots too in December. So it's a lot of we do a lot of giving in the holiday season, which is pretty fun.
Well, this is great. A lot of great stuff. So you mentioned you're going to start thinking about another location.
Yes.
So what are your thought process about that, and how was that? What are the trigger points where that might happen? What do you think is going to happen?
One, I just need to find the right spot. Once I do that, I know exactly how I'm going to do it. I know the person I'm going to put in. I know the systems. I know the pre-sale. I'm ready to go. I just need to find the right location to do it.
Okay.
So I'm kind of searching around for that. And, depending on if it goes the way I want it to, I want to start going faster. So maybe the year after is the third school, and then I go from there. But
Right. So you're promoting like within, you're training somebody that's maybe you have
Yeah.
going on, and then once they get up and running, you're like, hey,
yep.
probably the person that ran that one where you got 50%.
Yeah. Well, that's the guy. That's the one.
I was just thinking that might be a good option.
Yeah.
So somebody knows what they're doing there.
Yeah.
So
It's cool because like from going to all these tournaments, I actually am working on bringing someone in right now to my school that, is from like a different team he just moved to this area, but he wasn't from this area. I forget where he's from. I think Minnesota.
Oh, not
but
hungry.
like, no, not hungry. Not this time.
Okay.
But, just having those connections, like, I mean, there's a lot of, I have no other American school owners that have brought in people from different states from just, they competed together, trained together, and they're like, hey, like, we need you to jump in and teach, and then they end up getting a job. So that might be something I do in the future, not only just promote within, but also have like throw my lines out to like the tournament scene and be like, kind of what I did, like, all right, you got your tournaments, you're winning, like now if you want to go to the next thing, like here's your opportunity.
Wow, that's awesome. It's been a great pleasure. You've been listening to Master Your Finances. You can go to masteryourfinance.us and subscribe. Have a great day.